So, start something new. What are we going to call it? Grief Unfiltered?
Yeah, Grief Unfiltered, where it's raw emotions behind loss.
We're starting this podcast or channel just because we feel like we're getting through like some tough times fairly well here. And a lot of people have been saying that, you know, like our journey is kind of helping them. So we're going to see if anything we can say or do will shed light on some stuff like that.
I also feel like there's not a lot of resources out there. Once you find a few, there is. But early in our grief stage, I felt like there was a ton of grief things out there, but nothing specifically for child loss, which we know is a rare loss in life. Like, it's not something that everyone will endure, where most people will endure losing their grandparents, their parents.
Yeah, it's not natural.
It's the unnatural, and it is hard to find some resources.
Like we tried, when this first happened, we were going through like ton of like emotions and hardships, and we tried to reach out. We thought like something would be set up to like happen quickly, and like nothing was like widely available. Like, even though there are places that are known to like help people, when you call them, they're just either fully booked or they say like you're too soon in the grieving process to even be like able to do group talks and stuff like that. Remember, they were like, no, like you have to come back in like a year. Maybe that's so we don't bring other people down with like fresh kind of something like fresh like that. But
yeah,
I'm not sure because we haven't even got to that stage yet. So
yeah, I guess we're just trying to share our story, but outside of our story, I'm hoping that we can share other people's stories and what works for them, what doesn't work for them. Of course, we're still learning as we go. You know, right now we're 4.5 months into our grief journey of losing our son. And most days I'm still not great. It's hard.
yeah.
Ryan, I feel like, has jumped in and went back to work, and you know, he's a provider through and through. So I'm
just doing what I know, and I also like I find distractions help me. Like, when I stay busy, there's something to that kind of eases my mind for a while. Although it does seem like as soon as I stop, whatever I'm doing, it just kind of hits me all at once again. So I don't know, but.
Yeah, where I kind of bask in it more. I want to feel it all day, I would say. But again, it's just, that's what I was. I was, you know, the home taker, like getting the kids to school, doing all of that. So it's I'm still doing what I would do, right? I'm spending time with my son still, which is kind of why I would guess some people think that we are doing well. I mean, I've had other bereaved parents reach out to us and say like, wow, I can't believe you guys are like 4 months in, 3 months in, and you seem to be doing so well. Mind you, like what you see on the outside isn't necessarily always what's happening. Like, we don't post our darkest, deepest despair, but we also have a lot of hope because we have faith and because we feel like Roman's connecting to us from heaven or the other side or whatever you want to believe in. But he's definitely, from day one, given us profound signs that are just unexplainable.
Yeah, literally since day one.
Yeah. So there's no doubt about it in our mind that there is life after this. We've always been faithful people. We didn't practice our faith to the degree where we were going to church every Sunday and doing those types of things. But I would say
we definitely took a long time away from the church, like from going to church or, you know, doing much like that. But we always kept, like, the kids always went through like the normal stages of like
communion, baptism,
all that stuff. And, you know, we've always felt a connection to God too. So
yeah. Like, we've always had faith in something.
Faith. Yeah.
And even still, we go to church and we are Catholic. But we dabble with a little bit of everything. Like, we caution with everything with discernment. We make sure that we aren't being closed off to one specific way of thinking, and we're questioning it all, right? Because we have the right to. And honestly, like anybody that would be going through this would do that because it's your child. You're going to search every high, low corner to figure out what happened after the shock of it wears off, and like, where is my kid now, you know? So I think that's where we are right now.
Yeah, just kind of like exiting the shell shock stage and kind of going into the deeper levels of grief, right?
Yeah. Do you feel like, I feel like when you obviously first get with us, we didn't get the news. We were with our son, but it's such a shock. You don't think it would ever happen to you. Even when after it was done, it was like, no, this isn't real. He's gonna come back. He's gonna wake up. He's gonna, you know, like you're in complete disbelief of absolutely. Your life.
Worst thing that can happen to somebody for sure. There's like, I don't know, not everybody's a parent or whatever, you know, has maybe the greatest relationship with their kids and stuff, but like from what I've seen in this whole life, like there's nothing that could ever compare. Like I would far rather anything bad happen to myself, you know, than ever lose a kid.
Yeah.
That's like the least. I mean, I've lost a dad and a kid at this point, and honestly, like just to go back to saying that there's nothing worse in my mind, like, yeah, you could get, you know, any number of things could happen to you as an individual, and like, yeah, I've lost a parent too, but losing a kid is far worse than anything, like, I think that you can experience, because it's unnatural. Like, we're all supposed to die at some age. You're supposed to outlive your kids. Your grandparents are supposed to outlive your parents. And that's the natural order of things. And if it ever goes outside of that, it always sucks. It's always heartbreak. It's always still a loss. But to lose a kid as a parent is not a natural thing. So it's just, it's so much, there's so much more to it. And we've noticed that even since it happened, that like, when my dad died, I never received any signs or felt any like certain like special way about it. He was just gone and that was it. But like when my kid died, like the very first day, like right after it happened, we're already getting signs, and like they're profound signs, and yeah, and just there's something to it, and that's what kind of like deepened our faith too, is because like you could be lost in life, but when something like this happens, you're humbled instantly, and there's nothing to like, and if you start to see signs and stuff like that after, like it just becomes clear that there's so much more, right? To life than just like whatever you were living before and the normal day-to-day stuff, because you can get caught up in all that. But through this experience, I've noticed like there's a lot going on here that kind of goes unnoticed. So
yeah, and just going back to that is first off, when you just see a child, like they're so beautiful and innocent, and Roman was 13. He was not your average 13-year-old though, you know. He was really special, and I'm not just saying that because he's my kid and because he's crossed over, but he was just a different kid. He didn't care to fit in. He didn't care what latest trends were. He didn't care about TikToks and Snapchats or anything like that, which is very rare today. He was also like super, like, I think the worst thing that kid's ever done was swear or tell a white lie. Like, just a good kid, you know, never gave us a problem, never gave me a problem when I'd push him to do stuff, you know.
We were just talking about that earlier today too. Like we always felt like society was trying to say that Roman would like needed to catch up or to like fall in line a little bit better, and he was never that way. It's like he came here with some sort of a mission, because he was always himself and he didn't try to bend or like please anybody else with it.
It's very true.
And he was very good to everybody regardless of like how they treated him, and you know, he was just a special guy like that. So, and
the other thing about Roman is he would take time to notice the little things. Like, he would love picking weeds and like notice the little flower or the rock or like the sea glass, where, you know, most kids are off on a boogie board or doing that type of stuff. You know, he was in tune with nature and stuff. And he now that I look back, taught me to slow down a lot and appreciate those things. Now we search for those things in every inch and corner because they communicate a lot with nature, right? But he was like that before this.
Yeah, there's a lot that we picked up off of him that we would have never been able to without having him.
Yeah.
Like in the times, like sometimes in the moment, it'd be funny because you'd be like busy, trying to do whatever during the day, and then he would find something that would just like bring the whole pace down, because it would be like, so you'd be like, oh look, it's so cool, and you'd be like, come on Roman, we gotta go. But he would always stop to smell the roses in that sort of sense. So
he'd get lost in thrift shops.
Yeah, he loved that.
Old antique stuff. He collected like Coca-Cola stuff, old lighters, and he was just a cool kid. Even his music, he liked to like bop around to what we listen to today. He loved rock and roll, but he liked like oldies, like the 50s, and love music. And he was just an old soul. That's what we would call him, right? And very, very kind to everybody.
What do you think helped you most in the first days, of grieving, to get by?
Well, I would say the first week I was a zombie. I was white as white could be. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I was vomiting. There was nothing to help me.
Maybe like the family and friend support and everybody.
The family and friend support is great, because it's a beautiful thing when people come in and wrap you in their love when you can't even stand. So that is a beautiful thing. But even with the family and friend around, I was not here. I was somewhere else entirely. Like, I don't remember much of it. I thank God for you, because you were the one that was like handling the arrangements and stuff, because I couldn't even stand up.
I even forgot that I did any of that until you just said it again, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was so zoned out. Like I have a way of like being able to carry on through things, because I can have a mission I know I need to get through, then I'll get through it. But yeah, like honestly, I already forgot about.
I think that's what helped you during those first few days.
For me,
is getting things together for Roman, and you honored him so beautifully. You went high and low to get what you got for what he was going to be buried with, and
because he was our son and he was young. I decided like right away that I wanted him to have like the best funeral, like that, and just everything that he could have going for him, like to go for him. So that was one thing. And the other thing too was I wanted to make sure like that he was like, remember when I told you that I watched this show when they said like the pharaohs, or people in Egypt, when they would uncover their tombs, they said they knew how loved they were, or how the community looked at them by like the things they were buried with. So that was a big like call to action for me, to make sure he had enough stuff too.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Getting like all the gifts, and I also followed all our tradition in that. And those things helped me. Just staying busy just helped me, in the right ways, I guess, help me get through. Yeah,
and just the outpour of love. Like, our doorbell did not stop. Like. The amount of food that came through, or like flowers or gifts from of Roman,
the support was like crazy.
It was like that for weeks and weeks, and his funeral was beautiful. It was large. There was so many people, so many people, and it's amazing that you can gather the strength that you need to go and do these things. Because if you asked me this last year, I would say there's no way I would be able to
get through it. Yeah, for sure.
But you find strength, and I don't really even. I'm going to say it comes from an outside source, because I don't think that we can really do it. It is a testament to your character. And
there's also the element of being pushed to the edge of the cliff, where there's no way around it, and that makes you really because before it happens, you would say oh, there's no way I could get through it. But then when you're standing at the edge of the cliff with only the option.
Well, there is only one way through it.
Only one way through it,
One thing that I hear a lot, and people will probably not like to hear this, is in a lot of groups I hear is there's no right or wrong way to grieve. But I actually disagree with that to some degree. I don't think it's right or wrong way to grieve if okay, you get rid of your kids' stuff or you keep your kids' stuff. Things like that, I think that you deserve every right to that. If you want to lay on the couch for a month, that you deserve that right. But I do think jumping into substance, getting into bad things like that, where you're just going to spiral down. So in terms of like, is there a right or wrong way to grieve? Yes.
There's at least a wrong way.
There's a healing way to grieve.
Yeah.
Which we've like, we haven't had a sip of alcohol. Ryan stopped drinking 3 years ago. I didn't, but now I haven't. Like, it's just, I don't think I could ever go back to it now.
Yeah.
But I know that there is a lot of parents that do. And I don't blame them for it. I can see how they would do it, but I just don't think it's a healthy way to move forward.
It's net negative. Like, it's definitely going to lead you at some point to, to a harder time. That's for sure. Like, even if, like, let's say you get through it, 10 years goes by or whatever, I guarantee you, if you chose not to drink and to just, like, use all of what you can to power through or, like, not fall further, or in the other scenario, you got like drunk every day and tried to wash it away, I guarantee you that road is tenfold harder, if not more.
Yeah.
So at the very least, like, it's just going to be a lot harder and it's probably take a lot longer, right?
It's a depressant too, right? So it's like, I know when I hit my darks with this, they're the darkest I've ever been.
Cool. Imagine a hangover too when you're
I couldn't imagine.
Waking up, like, because like when you're drinking, it's going to go away. You're going to feel some relief, but then that's going to compound the next day when you wake up feeling like complete garbage, right?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. It's got to be a harder road.
Yeah. And then, I guess what you're saying, like what helped us in the beginning of days, just honestly, I think you just get like, you're just breathing minute by minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think those first couple weeks, you're just trying to stay alive. Like, I still have days where I'm trying to stay alive.
Oh yeah.
Now I can get up. Like, if I was in those first couple weeks, I was lucky if I showered. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, I could not get up. I couldn't move. I was couch locked.
Yeah.
I slept on the couch for 3 weeks.
I had a panic attack the first couple of days, remember? And like, I'm like the strongest person in that category, so that kind of said a lot. I mean, you would expect it to, but yeah, I was completely shutting down. I think that was like the first day after. What kind of coping mechanisms worked for you and didn't?
The coping mechanisms that worked for me, I dived into yoga, and thank God I did.
Yeah, yoga's a great one. That's
yoga's great.
Amazing.
It settles your mind. It like stretches your body.
Yeah.
What I think that people play under is how heavy grief sits in your body. And because I was on the couch for so long, Ryan booked a trip to Costa Rica. So that got me up and out. So I went from like being on the couch, not leaving my house, to flying in an airplane.
That balanced us out. Like, Costa Rica really helped, like, take the peak off of the edge.
Yeah. I think grounding in nature, like, we're in Canada, we're in the snow, it's depressing already, it's hard to be outside, it's minus 20 out at times.
Yeah, like, if you already have seasonal depression, imagine trying to go through losing your child and then the start of winter, like, it's just kicking off too.
So I think getting out of here and also being in a place, for the first couple of weeks, I was terrified for people to see me. I had like this fear.
Social anxiety.
Yeah. If somebody knocked on my door, I'd panic.
Yeah. I
couldn't go to a grocery store. Like, I was terrified to run into people. So being in Costa Rica where nobody knew who we were, nobody knew our story, it set us back into a tone where like now I'm feel stronger where I can see people. Mm-hmm. So yoga, getting out of the country if you have the means for it and can, praying and God was number one.
Yeah, putting God first is definitely like a must.
Yeah.
And man, does it help too.
Yeah. Well, this strips you to your core, and this is something that you can never fix. So most situations in life you can pull yourself out of, or there is a solution that you can get to at some point.
That was the hardest part about this, is being, especially for like me, I feel like as a man, like I always get dealt problems, and I feel like being a man is about problem solving and getting through them, and then you always end up like victorious on the other side, and that's where all the bonuses come in. But this is one thing that there's no making it out of. Like, the loss is the loss, and there's no fixing it. And this is the first time in my life I ever felt like I got dealt a hand like that. So it was soul crushing, like in so many ways, like as a man, as a father, like that's also my best friend. Like I love my son so much, and just like the loss hits so many levels, and each one of them is like a whole different level. And so like they hurt differently, and like they reoccur differently in your grief too. Like it's all kinds of more layers than an onion in it.
You have to have grit. You have, because it's on you, right? So there's nobody that can save you from this. There's nothing that can save you from this outside of God. So when you put your pain, like literally, I remember being in bed and saying like, God, I'm giving this to you. Like, you know, you made this decision, or whatever is like, I guess he made the decision at the end of the day, or
It's part of the plan, right?
it's part of the plan. And I'm like, I need you. Like, I need you to help me with this pain, and I need you to like wrap my heart in peace, because I can't get through this alone, right?
Yeah.
And there's nobody outside that can help you, you know? Like, first off, when you lose a child, the loss of the child is obviously number one painful. Like, the reality that you'll never get to hold your kid again, watch them grow, watch them have children, watch them thrive, you know, just be there. The most thing I miss about my kid is his hugs, you know, and his love. But outside of that, it's the future that we had with him. So like us becoming a grandparent, or like, again, watching him grow, and then watching everyone around you suffer, right? Because like every single person in our life is broken with Roman's loss. Right. So it's like watching my husband suffer, watching my daughter suffer, watching my parents suffer, my friends, his friends.
And you could be on like a day where you did a lot to like, you know, feel good again. And then boom, you know, somebody else is not on board of that day. And then it brings your grief down. So it's super hard to get a leg up on the grief, because it's like you're constantly fighting like a wave that's pulling you under. You know?
Well, you can look at it like that, or you can look at it like, okay, I'm strong today to help Ryan, or, you know, Ryan's up today and I'm down today, so he's strong to help me. You know?
You really have to, if you're the guy on top, you have to try to pull everybody else up, you know?
And the other thing that I've learned is like, when you're in those deep, dark trenches, which happens, you get out of it. You always get out of it. Some last longer than others, you know. Sometimes I can be like 10 minutes where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, you know. And then I get out of it. But sometimes it's all day, right? And even if I'll be like Ryan, like texting Ryan, being like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want this. I need him to know too that like that's just me getting it out, and it's not that I'm gonna be like that forever, right?
Yeah. Do you think this grief has changed our perspective on life?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure it has. I mean, like, obviously life is short, and I don't know. I think I used to be afraid of like dying too, and like getting old and going through all these processes. But after you lose a kid, you just kind of like, that's not like death isn't real anymore. It's just like, okay, cool. If I die, I get to be with my son now. Yeah. If I live, then I still have my family that's here. And until like the way I look at it now. Before, I was just like, we need to explore, we need to do everything in life because life is short, and I'm so glad we did that. Thank God we did that, because, you know, our kids got to, like, especially Roman, got to experience a lot in his short, 13 years, but the kid did more in his 13 years than I've done in my 37, like, in some ways, so there's that. But yeah, like, now it's also, whatever will be, and I just pray that, we don't suffer more unnatural losses, and like it's going to be us that goes next, kind of thing. Not, but yeah, definitely. I guess it has came to change kind of everything about life, right?
Yeah. It's awful because me and Ryan are both young, we had kids young. And like, I'm so envious of people's age. It's so crazy to say that, but I'm like, I literally look at people and I'm like, oh, you're 57. Oh, you're gonna like only have X amount of years left.
Yeah, it sounds so twisted.
Morbid. But every parent that I have talked to that has went through child loss, every single one of them has feelings that they want to die. That is 100% normal. And it's like, okay, you're not like suicidal to the max where you're like, okay, I'm gonna plan my suicide. That's not what we're talking about. But like, there's days where it's like, I don't want to live. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I want to be with my kid. And that's really hard to say because we have another child here, but it's like, I'm half gone, half here, I want to be here for my daughter and watch her grow, but I'm okay if I die too. Yeah.
My dad died of suicide, and so I always I never understood it. I always hated, the thought of that. And then I don't know, until this, like, I definitely haven't planned it or anything like that. I would never do it. I know that still, but like, there's times where I just picture it, and I can't even help it. Like, I just picture like just dying whatever way, like crashing my car into a tree and like just it being over, or like whatever, just kind of like the idea of it floats through my mind, and like it's like I see it happen, but like I never like entertain it either.
Right.
So I don't know, like that's something that would never have happened before this.
No,
like I'm so headstrong in so many ways, but man, like this will like just do that to you, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it's sheer pain.
Yeah.
How would you describe grief? Like, how would you describe what you feel during grief?
it feels like your soul leaving your body, or like some like hollowness, like this dirty hollowness inside that you can't escape or hide from. It's probably the way I'd put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like empty. Just like the joy is gone, or
yeah. I find as it like we're still very fresh into our grief journey, most would say, which obviously we are, but I feel like, you know, we're doing decent because we're trying to help other people. Like we've already both done things to help different communities. I enjoy writing a lot. So a lot of my grief writings, when I write, I just wake up and start typing in my phone. I always describe grief as like you're in an ocean. You're in like the worst storm possible. And during the bad days, you're literally just getting rocked left, right, center, like swallowing water. You're gasping for air. And then there's days or moments where it's like, okay, now they're big waves still, but you can breathe a bit. And then I really haven't found too many calm days yet, but I'm assuming as time goes on, we will find more calm days where you're like, okay, now we're swimming, you know? And it's always going to kind of be like that. You're always going to be in the storm, you know? Some days are going to be storm, some days are going to be calm, and some days are just going to be tsunami status.
Yeah, I guess like the beginning has been mostly tsunami and with like the odd break, but like,
I was listening to this guy, and he was very cool. Like he also lost his 13-year-old son, and he was talking about like how with pain comes purpose if you allow it to happen. And he kept like grabbing his arm like an elastic, saying like, okay, you get pulled back this much, you know, but then you're like catapulted out so much more further than other people because of your pain if you can change it to purpose. So it's like, okay, this bad thing happened, and you keep getting pulled. And then if you can let it go and release it, then you're gonna have more purpose and more meaning, deep life, right? So I think that that's a huge thing that parents need to grasp on, is that like this is all divinely planned, and like you can change your pain into purpose. It doesn't have to be today or tomorrow, but helping other people really helps us too, you know. I feel that way.
Yeah. And it gives like a sense of purpose to something bad, you know, when it happens too. Like at least we can turn, like you can't change what happens, but you can change what you do about it.
Well, we'll never let our son's life go in vain, no matter what. Like, I'm always going to be the person that talks about him. I don't care. I'm going to be like, oh, Roman would love that. And that's just the way it is. I would say that while he was here, and I'm never going to stop. We're
not going to hide from what's happened. We're not going to like tuck him away and bury his pictures. Like, we're going to keep him in the family.
Pictures of him all over our house.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard too. Like, it's hard to look at them. We have some like the electric thing, the picture frame that just plays all the pictures. That's a tough one.
It is hard
because it brings back all the memories. But I feel the more that we allow it, the more it like we're not hiding from it too.
Well, I feel like, and again, this is the way that there's no wrong way to grieve. It's like some people don't want to look at their pictures, some do, because it doesn't heighten the pain. And I always say this, like, this pain is not going away. This pain is for life. That is for sure. So, I mean, you don't need to feel it all in 1 minute. No, because you're going to have it forever.
For sure you can't. Yeah. Like, you have to spread it. Like I do, like I get busy when I need to, when I can't shake the bad feelings, I start to just do something. And that feels like, and it sounds like trying to tuck it away or bury it, but I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just trying to bite off small chunks and then deal with it until I can't anymore, and then stay busy. Right.
Yeah. What, when you're in that depth and you say you don't try to run from it, what helps you get out of it?
Prayer. It would be prayer for sure. If I can't do something to stay busy, then I pray, and I pray for him more than anything, I just pray for Roman, and I feel like I'm again, like at least I'm doing something fatherly, even though like my son's not here. At least I can still pray for his soul, you know, or I can take care of his like his at the cemetery. We can bring some flowers or do something there, and we decided to keep a candle lit for him at the very minimum for the whole first year, like 24/7, the best we can. Like it blows out or whatever, but like stuff like that, you know, like I believe that the soul lives on, and I think like when you are just a soul without a body, then you can like see everything like all the time probably. Like I don't know exactly how it works, but I seeing as we felt him around since he's been passed, like I know that much is true. So I feel like, you know, he probably gets to see those things too, right? And just for sure, I'd still feel like mom and dad love me, and you know, and look at all the things that they do to try to like you know, because I
think they see your heart too, though. Like I don't even think like I love doing that type of stuff too, but I feel like they just like they can feel you, you know, they think they hear your thoughts. Like I do firmly believe all that. For me, I found grief groups. Ryan doesn't like them.
I could never do that.
I went on, like, I'm gonna say like the week after Roman passed, I went on like every grief group possible, and some of them are dark, dude. Like some of them I was like, oh heck, I can't stay on here. I found one that was the Helping Parents Heal group. They're phenomenal. They're very like connecting with your child, sound healing, yoga. The creator is amazing. There's so many like profound people that dedicate their time. And then I met one of my friends, Neil. He had lost his son too, and we talk like morning to night. Like we say good morning to each other and we say good night to each other, and we're just like, we pour into each other's grief. It's nice to have an outside perspective. So I would say if you can try to find a grief buddy,
somebody that's been through it.
I talked to a couple other people, but it's like more, it's like in and out, where like he's my buddy, where we're like, we've like shared dark, deep secrets with each other and things that we wouldn't repeat. Right. So it's nice to have an outside outlet that is a safe space, but also is,
I think as long as like
can grow with you,
you're talking with somebody that's positive and like, and you're getting something positive out of it too, then that's a good thing, you know?
So I find that group helpful. Ryan doesn't. Again, see, there's different ways for everybody.
I just feel like I feel too vulnerable in that. Like when I start hearing more like hardships of people, it just brings me further down.
See, where I feel, it makes me feel less alone.
So I guess that's a preference thing for sure.
Those are both like, it's good. It's good advice for people because they can find out what helps for them, works for them.
And also too, it's definitely a good thing if you're having a hard time, if something just happened to you and then you can't get in to see a therapist because there's nothing available, or the grief groups won't accept you because it's too soon, then like you're pretty much left to like stuff like that, right? Those groups, but those groups are for sure powerful because like there is, I'm not denying this. If you have 100 people in a group that have all been through some stuff, that is a lot of experience in whatever the thing is. And most of the time, even if you're getting like, you're seeing that somebody did it wrong, that's still information that can help, right? Like it's like, let's avoid doing that. Like somebody said that didn't work, or obviously it didn't work because you're seeing it, right? But so that's a great way to start off.
And they honor the children, which is beautiful. So it's like, even if you just went on there and like posted your kid, you get like 500 comments of like his name with a heart on it. And honestly, when you're in the darkest of dark and you're like feeling super lonely and you see like 500 comments under your son's or daughter's beautiful picture saying how beautiful they are, and that just, it brings you to light. So it doesn't mean that you have to go in and pour your heart and soul out, but you know, those groups are really, really good. I found there's dark ones and there's light ones, so use your own discretion with that. But definitely the Helping Parents Heal is a beautiful group.
One, and like all the support we had in the beginning too, with like people starting programs for us, and even like the GoFundMe that Kayla started, and all those things. Like when they started them, like I didn't think much about it, but then I quickly realized like, wow, we're not having to cook meals and stuff, and like
the meal train was amazing.
Imagine, and even people came and cleaned our house for us. Like imagine having to take care of all these things while you're going through like the epitome of hell. Like so. Well,
you can't function in those early days. You can't cook, you can't clean, you can't do none of that stuff. So, I mean, the community pouring into us really.
And like. Honestly, I just want to thank everybody so much for that because,
thank you.
like that was something like I've never experienced the community coming together for us, but like never had to, I guess, before this. But yeah, thank you guys because that really helped. So
okay, so this is our first little duo. We're gonna go grief unfiltered, raw, unedited. Well, we're gonna edit,
but it's gonna be raw.
It's gonna be raw. We're just gonna talk how we talk, and there's not gonna be
say it like it is, and we're not gonna like go with like the normal stuff that you would hear or expect to hear. We're just gonna say straight up, like whether it's right or wrong. I'm just gonna say it how we.
Well,
think,
it's opinions too, right? Opinions, so it's you can use your own discernment. That's my new favorite word because discernment is where it's at, right? You have to just take what resonates with you and what doesn't. You just.
And it's another perspective too. Like perception is like how we see things, but perspective is what everybody offers. So, changing your own perception based on somebody else's perspectives goes a long way. That's something I learned in the recent years too, and it could help because you can get stuck in a rut, and maybe you didn't just think of it in that way. So we're gonna say it, and like we're getting through it. We're doing things like to the best of our abilities. We've decided to stay sober. We're staying together as a family unit. We're keeping like the community involved in it too, and
going to church.
So like I feel like we're doing it the best we can, and it's working out. And we're turning like living hell into something that's at least keeping us alive. So
and doing things in Roman's name. We've like right away we did a huge Christmas fund. One of my clients, Chantel, she said, I want to start a little toy drive. She's a hairdresser, and she told her clients instead of giving her tips to bring in toys. And then I was like, well, I'll help too. And then it just blew up, and we had thousands of toys.
Yeah.
We've helped like 28 families in the community. We hand delivered them. I mean, bags of toys for each of their kids. Then we went to McMaster's. Then we went to McMaster's Hospital. We went to Salvation Army. We did loads of them.
That felt great.
Yep. And right now we're doing Roman sweaters.
Yeah, sweaters. That's
for
a big
the animal hospital.
Yeah.
So I guess rounding up this conversation would be what like suggestions of like how getting through the first little bit is like lean into the community. Well, I would say number one, lean into God.
Yeah, God first.
Lean into each other, but that's hard when everybody's down. Lean into the community.
And sometimes you have
honor your kid, and communicate with your kid. Like that's what makes me the happiest is communicating with Roman. I talk to him like he's here.
Daily.
I talk to him every day. And I vowed to myself and to Roman that I'm going to set aside time every single day to just meditate, be with him, talk to him, and that's it.
Yeah. That's important. We'll keep him coming.
Yeah, I guess we're hoping to get maybe some other parents in here. I have a few that I know would be willing to hop on and share their stories. Yeah,
drop us a DM if you have a story and you want to speak on it. Maybe we'll have you on here too.
Yeah.
Cool.
How should you wrap this up?
I don't know.
Usually people do
Nah, it's gonna be just a wrap.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. All right.
Okay, next time.